Vagina DeLuca.
Sharon Stone.
Krista Vagina DeLuca. I kind of like.
Okay, rolling now.
Welcome to Zero Fucks Given. I'm Krista DeLuca. Wait a minute. don't.
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
Try again.
Okay.
It's kind of like that Ian Hollins thing that's going on Twitter, where like there are all these like Ian Hollins.
DeLuca. Anyway, how are you guys? I'm here with Carson and Freddy.
Yeah, we're well.
I got that right. We're great.
I think you bat 1,000 on that one. Like when you talk about who's in the studio with you, I think you've always gotten it correct.
Really? I feel like I'm saying Zero Fucks Given wrong.
Yeah, at times you do, but I'm not saying you pat 1,000 on the whole thing. It's just like if we break it down into
what
parts,
are you saying?
That you generally are cognizant of who's in the studio with you, and that's
key.
That's key, because if you didn't have that, I don't know. Maybe things would be better.
So, Katie,
are we really rolling or what?
We are really rolling. What have we got today?
We've got a lot. What should we start with? Should we start with something fun, but not really that fun? But I just found out about the Dalai Lama. Just found out about the Dalai Lama. We
just found out that he's a perv.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
When did you actually find out about the Dalai Lama?
Oh, I want to say 30 years ago. Is that when Richard Gere was like?
Oh, when he was doing the free Tibet thing?
Yeah.
That's how you found out about the Dalai Lama?
Look, man, give Richard Gere some credit. Like he raised awareness.
Some credit.
Yeah, because there's two other things when I think of Richard Gere. One, which people are quite familiar
Gerbils,
with.
yes.
Gerbil.
Yeah.
But the other that I think people outside of Canada and the finance industry are less familiar with, Richard Gere. So, Govin Friedland, who is the son of the greatest mining promoter in the history of Earth, Robert Friedland, was cucked by Richard Gere. So
was what?
Cuckold. We'll Google
Cuckolded.
Cuckolded. I don't know. I've not spent that much time Googling it.
So
what happened was...
Explain to me.
Govin Friedland was at some hotel in Italy. I think his dad owned the hotel or something. Turns up with his wife. And his wife's like, that dude's Richard Gere. And Richard Gere's like, I can fuck pretty much anything I want to fuck. Your wife looks like a pretty awesome kind of piece on that mantelpiece for me. And he left the hotel with Govin Friedland's wife. So when I think Richard Gere, I'm not thinking free Tibet. I'm thinking free Govin Friedland.
But how do you square that with the gerbil?
You think it's one?
I feel like he also was with
Gerbils?
the husband.
The husband?
Like I thought there was a rumor that he was
gay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, the gerbil thing's way worse, to be clear. Like, do you think he did the gerbil thing to cover up that maybe he was gay? Interesting.
Well, that's what I would do.
Is that what you do?
What do you think, whaling?
If you're in the Austin area and you're a gerbil, beware, because Krista's coming for you.
I'm coming for you, gerbil. Yeah. Okay. So, is that a true story?
That is a true story.
I mean, you really have to wonder why. I mean, are gerbils really that desired as pets? I mean, why does every pet store have like gerbils for sale?
They're ratty, right? They've got tails, gerbils.
Right.
Hamsters
I feel
don't
like
have tails. Gerbils have tails.
Gerbils have.
I mean,
believe
yeah,
so.
right. So that's how you retreat. That's sort of like the the emergency.
Tampon string?
It's like the emergency stop. The emergency brake. You just
it's definitely
pull that.
easier. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I mean, how much of the pet store market is actually dudes who want to like stick the gerbils up inside them? Like
That's actually a very good question.
I'm just not sure that many people actually want gerbils for non-intrusive reasons.
How much of Ryan Cohen, the Chewy founder's fortune, is sending gerbils direct to people's houses who don't...
Direct to anus gerbil.
Oh my God.
Like that's the big innovation that Chewy's brought. Not direct to consumer. No. Direct to consumer's anus.
He's gotten rid of the shame of being a 48-year-old man just like going up to the counter with your overcoat on, being like, I just want this gerbil. Do you want any food? No, we won't be needing that. Just the gerbil would be fine, thank you.
So wrong.
Well, no. Well, do you want the gerbil food that like, tastes bad, or do you want gerbil food that you'll think tastes good?
Oh, Lemmy Winks.
Anyway,
So Dalai Lama.
Well, listen, yeah, I was going to say,
Dalai
hang on,
Lama.
if more people were honest with themselves about their gerbil feelings, like if the Dalai Lama had been honest with himself about that, he might not be trying to get a kid to like suck his tongue.
that's some crazy. So I watched the video a couple times after you told me about it.
Which my first thought when I saw it was like, oh, this must be a deep fake.
Yeah.
But it can't be because he actually apologized.
But and their whole take is like, well, he's very fun loving and he does, whatever. And at first, okay, the kiss on the lips, I was like, huh. But then the sucking of the tongue, that's where you draw the line.
Yeah, I mean,
And then I thought, oh my God, does he have early dementia? Like,
So
there's
I
something
did think
off.
about dementia thing.
well, it's not necessarily that early. I mean, let's be honest, the dude's not young.
I also thought that
It's kind of middle of the fairway for
he's
dementia
fun-loving.
age.
If that had have worked, the Catholic Church would have tried that. Like, that defense would have actually got, like, oh, he's just fun-loving.
Bro, I'm sure that's been tried by the Catholic Church many times.
Right, but
I mean,
clearly failed based on the settlements.
Not really. Well, I mean, listen, there's the stuff you know about. There are the things that have settled, and then that's probably like 10% of the shit that's actually happened.
True.
I mean, I think there was just last week I heard about like yet another archdiocese being sued, because guess what? Like they had this problem for years. They knew about it. They didn't say shit. They didn't do anything about it. They covered it up and, more people were abused. So I don't know, man. I don't think we know the extent of the predation in, the Catholic Church. And so apparently not among Dalai Lama's, the Tibetan Buddhist faith either.
Question is the whole like vow of silence thing just so that if they're put on the stand, he's like,
So
wow, that is fucking thinking.
First of all, did it happen in February of this year, right? And so now it's just coming out.
It was Valentine's Day.
Stop it.
Do you like your Valentine's Day Dalai Lama special?
Anyway, but now, when did this story come out? Just like a week ago or 2 weeks ago.
I mean, what's going to be horrible about this is, if you think about the hatred that's going to be directed towards just regular llamas, like you know some dudes in Texas are going to like go out like shooting up llamas, like
oh God,
like,
don't
the
say
animals.
that. I know the llamas.
Dude, that's true. Well, especially because they are genetically somewhat similar to camels. Right. I think camels do have a problem with their tongues, right? I think they're always like spitting at people.
Snort. Yeah,
don't they like spit the tongue at it?
we did a few weeks ago.
Dude, that guy knew about the Dalai Lama. That's why he punched the camel. Of course, all the dots connect.
We're solving everything here at ZFD.
He tried to warn us, and yet we reveled in his being trampled to death by the camel he punched
at the Russian summer camp.
Yeah, that's right, Russian sleepaway camp. He tried to warn us,
dude. We're really pulling in the QAnon viewers here, no doubt. Anyways. Good start to the show, KD. Well done. Good start.
I didn't even know we were filming. So, do you want to talk about Schneerberger?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about him. So, few months, maybe a month ago, we did what I thought was like some really hard-hitting... God's work style. I mean, it was journalism. I went through like 6 tweets. I found the world's probably the best reverse indicator since Neil Woodford. Biohazard 3737 is the tag. And once again, not only covering, I think, an important health topic, the use of these wonder drugs, but also proving that he is a superb reverse indicator. The person behind this account has admitted to taking one of these like kind of off-label approved wonder drugs, and it has not caused him to lose weight, but it has caused him to lose his hair. So after 12 weeks, he's tweeted a long kind of thread.
I mean, this shit happens.
I mean, hair weighs something.
Hair
That's a very good point.
I mean, if your scale's not dropping and you lost your hair,
Yeah.
I mean, Freddie, like your hair's got to be about what 30% of your body weight here.
I mean, what do you think? That's a good 20 pounds or what?
It's 20 pounds.
Yeah.
20 pounds. Yeah. It is. So
That takes you to
just wonder,
105.
like, you know, this guy's a biotech investor. He's still not fucking tweeting about a Nebulo. He's tweeting about drugs that he's like experimenting with at home
Yeah, I
that
mean,
clearly don't work, that are causing him some sort of pretty severe harm. Anyways, guys.
is he bald now?
I don't know if he's fully bald.
Because that would
Kinda
be a
hope
good
he's
story.
not. I kind of
Oh.
hope it's just a bit patchy, because
Ooh.
I feel like that would be worse.
Well, yeah, the worst of all worlds is the comb over.
Yeah, he's
That's the worst
he's got a
of all
full comb over. So
Oh, does he? I've never met
I
him.
don't. He didn't last time I met him.
He's doing the little Trump.
But I wonder if he's gone comb over. You know, he lives in Austin. You know, if you want to come on the show and show us your comb over, Biohazard,
Please
we'd love to have you
do.
on.
We actually would.
And you can throw out even some stock picks.
I love
and
guests
we will
to come
take the
on.
other side. So
In real time.
Anyway, so yeah, that's the latest update on the world's greatest reverse indicator.
No,
since
that yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, that's
What don't you know?
a pretty big statement there. I mean, you've got guys out there like Jim Cramer.
True.
I mean,
well, he has to know a lot less about a lot more stocks. Like, he has to pretend he's heard of, like, what is it, like 6,000 listed equities or something in the US?
No, but they only let them on, right? If he A, has heard of it, or B, has had enough time before they let him on to quickly look it up and, like, you know, just kind of regurgitate whatever Bloomberg has for the company description. And then he tells you, like, nah, it's a buy.
So anyways, look, it's a fair point, reverse indicators. Some of the reverse
There are
indicators...
some legendary reverse indicators out there. I don't know that he's
Anyone
earned
bet-
it.
okay,
I don't
anyone
know that
bet-
he's earned his
legendary status.
seat at the Pantheon.
Okay. Neil Woodford, for me, I
Well,
think
of
was
course.
the greatest of all time.
Well, but also in context, right? Like Neil Woodford on large cap value stocks, I'm not going to say he's a
True,
reverse indicator.
that's fair.
When it comes to tech, biotech, he is. Anthony Bolton on China stocks.
Oh my God,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that dude was.
Yeah, that article of him, like, sitting on the peak playing his cello, not a great look.
Yeah. Nat Rothschild on
Anything.
investing in Indonesian resources.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, that's fair. There's a way to go. He needs to raise some more assets and do it in bigger size to be truly in the pantheon of the greats, but...
I mean, look, he could be on his way, and
He
it's,
could.
you know, it's your honor for having met him. So,
This is true. Couple of other reverse indicators from last year who are doing remarkably better, and we want to be fair and impartial on this show.
Always.
Chase Coleman is making a recovery. I think the fund was up like 6 or 7%, Bloomberg reported.
based on private marks or public equities, we don't know.
I don't know.
Private marks. I don't
Well-
I mean, look, truth of the matter is, if you're down like 60% versus 63%, it doesn't fucking matter. But, you know, we just want to give credit where credit's due, and
That's
it has
what we
nothing
do.
to do with the NASDAQ being up year to date. It's pure alpha. So good to see the tech bros making a comeback driven by alpha-based investing.
Well, he didn't used to be a tech bro, right? Like, to be fair, he donned that persona
Yeah.
like in advance of tech brodom, brohoodness, whatever, exploding and doing really well. So he's on to the next thing, possibly.
China.
I mean, yeah, a lot of dudes are back on the China
Now,
day.
do you think he would be a guest on our show?
No,
I think he's only ever given like one
he's
interview.
very
ever.
media shy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Which I don't get.
But
'cause
maybe
he's
if
got
you
good-
reached out, maybe if you did the interview.
He's got good hair. Like,
I mean, a great name. I mean,
I
Jesus
love
Christ.
his name.
Like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Love.
you could have taken a kid born into the poorest fucking family in America, and if you named him Chase Coleman, he's almost guaranteed to be a centimillionaire.
It's funny you say that. I have some friends in England, and they named the kid Chase, and then his middle name's Luca, and they actually ended up like switching him
it
out.
to Coleman.
But just Coleman. So he called me about 3 months after. He's like, "Hey, I realize it's kind of an American name. Is that like synonymous with growing up in a trailer park?" I was like,
What?
I only know one Chase, and I think the guy like oozes money out of every pore in his body. I'm like,
This person
kid's gonna be
obviously
fine.
was
Yeah.
not a smart guy.
I think it was a spur of the moment
This
thing.
guy empties his airplane lab over trailer parks.
Exactly.
That's the connection
Yeah.
between Chase and trailer parks.
Yes. So, anyways,
I know you're not going to want to talk about this, but I wrote it anyway. Suggestions for the other way to celebrate Passover. Because I'm looking at your skin right now. Because I know you're...
right?
No, actually, it's
Better?
so clear and good. It's
Okay.
like you got a facial. Is it because of the Passover diet?
He's basking in God's glow.
Oh.
So, I celebrate Passover quite strictly. So it's quite restrictive because you can't go out to like a restaurant
Right,
or
okay.
anything.
Which is big
And
for
really,
you.
you're just eating like meat, vegetables. I don't really like
Which is
lots
basically
of-
my diet.
Right. So it's kind of like early adoption keto. Now,
Meditation.
I would much rather we just did it kind of the old-fashioned way instead of having like a Seder plate to commemorate certain things.
What's the
like,
old-fashioned way?
Well, the final plague that our God bestowed upon the Egyptians was death of the firstborn. So if they were like, look, you can eat bread, you can do whatever the fuck you want, you just have to go and kill an Egyptian firstborn. To me, a lot less effort than like 8 days of Passover. So I'm putting it out there. If I had my time now, I would probably just rearrange it. And it wouldn't be like a 1-for-1. It'd be like a family event.
So
kind
you're
of
not
thing.
having any carbs. I see you eating a lot of fruit.
Yeah, and I'm
And
miserable.
some
I'm just getting
protein.
to the point now about
I'm
6
saying
days
your
in.
skin is glow. So and no alcohol. Is that correct?
Yep, no booze. Like, I'm getting to the point
Your
now
skin
where I'm
is
starting
glowing.
to feel slightly better. But I feel bad for you having to spend like 5 of those days with me just like depressed, miserable, like itching for some fucking carbs.
I think you've done pretty well on it.
Yeah,
Unless
so
you're
far.
hiding from.
She
Like
she doesn't dislike you. She just dislikes the religion as a result.
Right, that's true.
That is so not true.
Really? When's the last
Carson,
time?
Chase, Cutler, Block.
So, yeah.
Okay, but and I've told you this before. I do find it interesting because I consider you, if not atheist, agnostic.
So there is a part of me that thinks like, yeah, this is all very highly questionable. There is a part of me that's like law of large number, we should have just been kind of wiped out. That is like a weird outlier. And then there's a part of me, and this is going to sound like so wacko, airy-fairy, like
It's okay.
I see amazing stuff in nature, and I'm kind of like,
That's cool.
kind of like
Yeah,
godly.
you're
Like,
supposed
Yeah,
to you're supposed to eat it,
spiritual.
not think about it,
Like I kind
or
of see
smoke
like,
it.
right?
But you're not
Well,
supposed to sit there
You're
and think
like
about
looking
it.
at a fjord, and you're like, how can there not be something like slightly greater and like unexplainably amazing that like
Absolutely.
has some little hand in this? Like,
Can I
this
just
is.
tell you, don't be like this guy.
Well, he was an atheist, and like his probably
Like
like
dark,
third word was
like
like God doesn't
Black,
exist.
like I'm ready for like the chair to like just
Oh, dude, he's rocking
Get
paper
on
again.
fucking, like,
He's rocking
fire.
paper swag.
Like you are like, don't be a hater, man.
No, when I
Because-
realized God hates me, I realized God isn't real.
Oh, fucking, let's end the program now. Listen to this shit.
So yeah, so I'm definitely like, look, a lot of these things.
I think it's
didn't
really
happen.
cool that you're like
Mhm.
that.
What do you believe?
Not much.
I think it's really cool. Like I think
I
it's really
like
cool
that
you
you-
believe in shit I don't believe in.
I'm actually spiritual.
You are?
I think so.
Okay.
So how do you feel when you see a fjord?
A what?
So you didn't even
Fjord.
know what the fuck he's talking about, and
No,
you
it
thought
doesn't
that's the
matter.
greatest thing you've ever
I don't
heard?
know what you're talking
How
about.
do you
and
feel when
sometimes
you
I-
see a fjord? says when he sees a fjord.
Why are you
I mean, keep in mind, after the second or third fjord I was like, they really are all the same. So, like, the feeling didn't last that long.
Well, it depends on between whose legs it is.
Right. I was going to go there as well.
Then you have to just fucking knock it out of the ballpark with that.
No.
Did I knock it out of the ballpark?
Ballpark.
Speaking of which, for those of you who don't know, we are being shot from head height because Krista decided to go with the kind of Sharon Stone basic instinct approach.
I didn't do that purposely. I thought...
You so did.
You just forgot to put on your underwear?
No.
How often does that happen?
Every other day? No, I didn't. I thought that we had the ability to shoot from... And now I'm going to find out that Sean is lying because my fans are going to probably direct message me and say, you can be shot from here to here.
No, only on a close-up,
right.
But on a wide shot,
you can't.
Our laps and knees are in the wide shot.
Yeah,
like there isn't anything to do about that. I mean, you get like that whole zooming out thing, right? You've seen that before on a phone.
Anyway,
Shorter. Yeah.
So
anyway,
preserving her modesty, any inadvertent content will be blurred out, correct?
Yes. Also, if you can filter anything over here, that'd be great.
We were going to green balaclava you, right? That was the idea.
What?
We were going to green balaclava you, but we decided not to.
Anyways, whatever.
What about the surprise? Should we do the surprise now before we forget it?
No.
Okay, you want to do that later?
Sure.
Okay. Do you remember what it was?
Yep.
Okay.
Give us actually, I'm really curious about this California report. You were in California.
Yep.
At your beautiful home there.
Mm-hmm.
But he's only spending 3 days a year there. If you are from the California tax board, he was in and out on the same day. It doesn't count.
Talk to us. Sorry. I forgot
I
forgot you were here.
So
you're fading away.
So it's still, unfortunately, it's still the greatest disappointment in all of America because it is such an amazingly beautiful place. And the people have fucked it up so badly. And so far, I see no signs of it getting better. So, it's almost like the surprise is that the surprise is that I can be surprised when it comes to just how fucking stupid shit in California gets. But I was surprised.
You cannot be surprised,
dude. There's a bill, like a real bill, that's been proposed that would ban Skittles, the sale and distribution of Skittles in the state of California.
Shut the fuck.
Wait.
I
Skittles?
shit you not. Well,
is there sour Skittles? Those are fucking brilliant.
So it has to do with like them using red dye number 3 and some of the other things that go into Skittles to make it colored, to make them colored. So
does it turn out that like Skittles is like really horrific and worse than anything else on the market? Worse than gummy bears?
I'm sure the jerk off assemblyman who proposed this, who apparently can see this is true, and apparently he can see no other real problems anywhere in sight that need to be dealt with in front of this. You know, he's probably like looked at studies of when they fed rats 6 times their fucking body weight with red dye number 3, like they got cancer after turning red. He's probably looking at that and saying like, oh, these are not safe. But how many fucking like Skittles tumors have they found on kids over the years? And by the way, like if they ban fucking Skittles, all right, I am going to go full Pablo Escobar, fucking El Chapo, and smuggle the shit out of Skittles into that fucking state.
Yes.
Either that or the remedy is, like if I'm Mars, which owns Skittles, I'm like, you know what? Okay, fuck you assholes. We're only going to sell like gray, colorless Skittles in your fucking state. And put like a picture of the assemblyman who proposed that bill on the fucking package and be like, want your rainbow of fruit flavors back?
How did you find this out?
I've thought of a trade here.
Somebody, like friends who we had over when we were in California were like,
friends.
Dude, I've thought of a trade.
They're like, okay, this is really gonna piss you off because I was just talking about how much I was already annoyed by California, and they're like, okay, well, Did you hear about the Skittles ban? What? Shut the fuck up. You're lying.
You know what's going to be better? You want to take the kids bowling. You turn up, because it's just a ban on Skittles. Okay?
What, and turn up on what?
Like, the pin, aren't they like...
What are you saying?
Skittles? No?
What?
What's
Okay.
happening? No, you're doing a
I got
Krista.
confused.
Talk to us right
I
now.
got confused
What
between pins
language
and
are you
Skittles.
referring to?
I got confused
No.
between pins and Skittles, so I thought if they were the same thing,
Huh?
but they're not.
What's
Don't worry.
pins?
Pins, like bowling pins.
Right.
And I was thinking,
I know
like,
bowl-
aren't they referred to as Skittles sometimes or not?
Not in
No.
this country.
I think that was an English thing. That they
He's a
referred
little
to as
high.
Yeah,
Skittles.
maybe. I mean, we don't call cigarettes fags either, so.
True.
But you might have noticed. You might have noticed
Betty.
here.
We still do.
Yeah.
Anyways,
You guys have some problems.
anyways, okay.
Not like
So okay,
Fucking
so there was
California.
that. So you go from like the mass stupidity to the what's day to day mundane, but I think very telling. So we had this one, like our former nanny. She came over for dinner and she stopped on the store on the way over, and it's been raining a lot in California
Oh, must be
recently.
so pretty down there.
Not so much when it's raining, but anyway, so she got there and so she just happened to mention, she's like, yeah, as I was at the checkout, like the cashier, like struck up a conversation and said something like, oh, it's still rainy out there. And I said, yeah, I really wish we'd be done with this rain. And he goes, yeah, you're not supposed to say that because, we need the rain. And then she went on and made some other point. I'm like, see, this is so California, right? Like, it's like, look, what I would want to say is, yeah, actually, you're not supposed to tell people what they're not supposed to say and not supposed to do and not supposed to think. But that is the culture there. And it's so insidious and it's so pervasive. It's just like seeped into this everyday discourse. And it's like, that's one thing I love
really
about
hope
Texas.
Austin
like,
does
people
not
don't
get like that.
People-
Someone actually
people don't
said
say
to
this shit in
me,
Texas.
It's
well, we need the
surrounded-
rain. And I'm like,
No,
what, am I in
It's surrounded by scary, racist white people. It's not going to get like that.
You can say, we need the
Well,
rain.
that's okay.
But I mean, to say, you're not supposed to say
Yeah.
that. I mean, and I feel like so much of California culture
Soon
is
they're
like
going to
that
be
now.
like, we need the Skittles. And then they're going to be like,
Let it rain Skittles. But you know what? If I had my way, the Skittles would be the color of rain.
So do you think existing packets of Skittles are going to be grandfathered in or not?
oh,
good
that's...
Because that would be an actual better fuck you. Like, buy 10 years worth of, and can you give Skittles away? Like, is there an arb here where it's like you can
Sale
sell
and-
membership to a Skittles club?
Sale and distribution, which I imagine would be regardless of whether it's for profit.
But what about like...
So
you know
like
how-
What
only
about grandfathering
only
in?
501c3s can sell Skittles.
So you sell right? So you have
There
you
you
sell
go.
a membership
Mhm.
to a Skittles club, and you just have Skittles out.
Dude, no, I just totally want to take the El Chapo approach, right? Because it's kind of like Mexican Coke, right? Which is better because they still
Right.
use real sugar. But it's like Mexican Skittles, like still use the real titanium oxide and red dye number 3 and yeah, like the good
stuff.
shit.
The
The
good
good shit.
stuff.
I mean, honestly.
Come
I mean,
on,
if you're
man.
like if you're picking on fucking Skittles,
What
I mean,
the
you
hell
really
has this-
think that there
I mean,
are not
California...
these multiple crises around that you need to solve or work on solving. But yeah, that's the state of
We'll just
leadership
give
in
them to the
California.
homeless. Like 2 birds, 1 stone. That
Oh,
seems
dude,
good.
I mean, giving something carcinogenic to homeless that's not fentanyl or is not, illegal under federal law. Like, no, don't be, fuck you, buddy. Don't you, don't you
Although
harm
we
those
have
homeless
someone
people.
we have someone who's done that before.
What?
CZ, she's like giving out like
Oh, a colleague, that
Yeah.
sucks that she has become.
She feeds
No,
the
she-
pigeons.
Yeah. She feeds the pigeons. That sucks.
she didn't have money one time. I was with her. We were going on BART and she gave candy. That's what she had. And the homeless person
hey,
looked at her.
It
didn't
is true
want it.
that she's much more likely to have candy on her than money.
Yes.
This is very true about
is
her.
very true.
I
Yeah.
know. She's a good person.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, last time I gave food to a homeless person, it was in Pacific Heights where we lived, and we had this like 2 pieces of like some vegetable focaccia thing. And we're like walking home. I was like, and there was a homeless dude, and I was like, hey man, like, do you want this? He looked at it, and he's like, what is it? I'm like, bro, like, beggars can be choosers. I was like, that's like a vegetable focaccia. And he's like, yeah, all right. And I'm like, well, you've kind of like manhandled it now. I'm not sure I really want it back. So
I mean, you didn't tell him like, hey, like it makes good toilet paper, or
it's fentanyl.
Or you figured. So along these lines, here in downtown Austin, definitely, you know, a lot of like drugged out homeless people. So a few weeks ago,
not compared to San Francisco. Like
no,
fewer,
no,
yes.
Far fewer, but it's
more than there were. Yes.
So a few weeks ago, I was waiting to cross the intersection on my way into work, and this guy, security guard, next to me, also waiting to cross. He waved at an Austin PD car, and then the guy turned to me and he said, "I always wave at Austin PD because, you know, I need their help a lot." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I bet you do. Like, you know, where do you work?" And, you know, starts naming off a list of buildings downtown, like all over. Okay. And I was like, yeah, shit, man. Like, yeah, it's just, I know it's a tough job with, you know, all this. And this was right after South by Southwest. Mm-hmm. And so I felt like there were a lot more homeless people on the streets after I came back, because as far as I'm concerned, like, I want to miss all these big events in Austin. So I was going for South by Southwest. So I asked him, I was like, yeah, is it me, or are there a lot more homeless here, you know, now that South by Southwest is just ended? He's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. He's like, they come in. He's like, look, here's the way it works. Normal day begging, they make probably $50. But when there's a big event like South by Southwest, ACL, they'll make like $200 a day. Plus, this is where all the drugs are being sold too. So they're making more money. They're able to buy their drugs here. And he's like, so of course they flock here during these times. Like, okay. He's like, and I'll tell you this. It's like 20 to 30% of them actually have housing. 20 to 30% get free shelter or free housing, you know, from the government. But maybe they'll go back like once a week to take a shower. But the rest of the time, they just want to be out here, you know, like buying drugs and begging for money. So it's like, yeah,
can't
that's
fault the work ethic. Just saying. I mean, you know,
that's right.
Critical of that generation.
That's right. It's like, you know, very, very, you know, very much like the Puritans. You know, just working hard all the time. Anyway, it was interesting insight. Which, I mean, I like it because it confirmed things that I'd always suspected. But, you know,
speaking of parts of society that we wish weren't as prevalent, VCs in the Middle East.
Oh yeah.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you sent that.
So yeah, but
I thought maybe you would.
I thought Freddy was going to talk about it.
Did you read that?
Because it was in the FT, so Freddy's British, so it's better if he talks about the British.
I only read like.
Yeah, so it turns out that like borrowing from the playbook of Steve Schwartzman and Leon Black, that like no amount of money is ever enough to like, you know, have your dignity and not go to Saudi and suck dick. The VC guys are back. I assume it is because all the people that are in funds like 10 through 15 are like, the returns on this actually kind of suck. The Middle East is obviously awash with petrodollars at the moment, and there's never a shortage of smart allocators in that part of the world.
Smart in air quotes, of course.
Yes. So it turns out that like the VCs are all like queuing up.
Well, one guy they're not asking to set up the meetings though is Michael Klein, as we covered a few weeks ago.
Michael Klein has had a spectacular fall from grace. So yeah, it's pretty bad. Like going from being like the it kid of the moment for all these VCs, and they're like turning down commitments left, right, and center to be in those super hot funds.
Well, they always were taking like Saudi money.
Right.
But
it was being washed.
Right. It was semi being washed by SoftBank in the Vision funds. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, you know, what really just disgusts me about the whole thing, people will say, oh, Saudis, Khashoggi, oh, how can, people do business? It's like, dude, and Khashoggi was once part of the regime. Okay. So 15 of the 19 hijackers were from Saudi Arabia. Number one. Number two, intel has since been declassified that make clear that Saudi intelligence services or people with the Saudi intelligence services were complicit in 9/11.
Saudi intelligence is such an oxymoron. Just
no. They have to keep an eye on anybody who wants to say something not flattering about MBS, like he fucks goats or yeah. But I'm proud to say we were once offered several years ago a meeting with Saudi PIF. That's their the goat fuckers. With the Saudi state the Sovereign Wealth Fund. And we turned it down on principle.
Should we have taken the meeting just to give them the finger in
now
person?
Looking back,
like now what I think about
what do
it.
you think?
But I was already publicly saying shit, like
But imagine if they just sat down and we'd have been like, all right guys, so we're gonna go through the
yeah, but what I'm saying is like I don't think it would have been smart to go into the building.
No, we'd have had them come to us.
Yeah.
And we'd have made them take
maybe that's even worse.
Yeah.
But no, but I think I'd recently tweeted something out that's after there was this headline, I just love this fixation that MBS has on trying to position Saudi as one of the most avant-garde, technologically advanced societies on earth. When it's like, you guys are like living closer to the Stone Age than any fucking society on the planet.
Yeah,
but so what they had announced several years ago was that they were going to be the first country to give citizenship, the rights of citizenship, to a robot. And I was like, well, I'm looking. I was like,
meanwhile, women there
you guys might need to like sharpen the blades on those state swords from when you try to behead the robot, because that's going to be a little harder than a human.
Tougher. Yeah, but with the advances in AI, it'll soon be smarter than 2/3 of the people making decisions on allocating money. So there you go.
What? Only what?
Fair.
Yeah. Our clients only represent 0.003% of allocators out there. So AI will never be smarter than they are. But
I was speaking to someone who has been there within the last few years, and he was telling me that he said it's actually pretty tense, like especially outside of Riyadh. Like he's like it's pretty young demographic. There's still a decent amount of unemployment. There is like quite a lot of tension there. It's not like
dudes who are not getting laid. Ever. That's a huge issue.
Unless you're a goat, in which case it's fucking awesome.
Goats
look,
here are like, I want to move there.
Look, when you see like some mass shooting here in the U.S., it's usually carried out by the American version of like Saudi dudes, right?
Stuff, yeah.
Guys who can't get laid for whatever reason. In the U.S. So it's a bad dynamic
it's
when you have a
tense,
lot of men, can't access like women. That's why the Saudis were always happy to like fund these overseas holy wars, so they could then like send their put their future problems off to go fight them and basically blow off steam. Some of them get killed, come back with like missing limbs, and they're less of a threat to the regime.
So one of the FT ads was running. It's like one of these new cities. It's not the Line. I can't remember if that's in Saudi. It's some like cube thing. And I like clicked on it. I was kind of curious, like, all right, what the fuck actually is this? It just looked like a mall. Inside it looked like kind of like a nice shopping mall. I'm like, who wants to live in a fucking shopping mall? Like every time they
Have you seen the outside?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, give me the shopping mall. Like,
every time I look
Riyadh
at these
or
things,
the mall.
I'm like, also like, who wants to live in a city that's just like going that way? Like, what a fucking shit show. Like, who wants to just walk a mile that way to see the whole city? Like, it just looks terrible. Yeah. So anyway, that's Saudi.
Anyway, that brings me really.
The secret. The surprise.
No, there's no secret surprise.
The thing you were gonna.
We should spend a fair amount of time on Credit Suisse.
Okay. Why?
I mean, well, I think it was pretty premature to call. Like last.
I owe an apology and a retraction. So
whoa, this is big.
I said that our regularly recurring segment on Credit Suisse misery porn was dead. I am sorry. I wholeheartedly and unreservedly apologize for saying that, because it is not dead. The shit show is going to continue for years. I'm very happy to report.
So news that came out in the last week or two.
They're back.
Senior people are having their bonuses written down to 0. Now, anyone in finance would think that's pretty punitive. But what they need to take into context is a lot of these bonuses were already being paid in stock, and they were down about 90% from any point in time you ever got a bonus, best case scenario.
Just be happy they weren't being paid in AT1s.
Exactly. So that's going to be great for retention for senior deal makers, I'm sure.
Why would they want to retain these guys anyway?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Like, why were you still
Good
there?
question.
Then they had the AGM, which I think was just an apology, which probably didn't differ.
Kind of Japanese, right? You know? Yeah.
A very deep bow. I mean, they would have had to have started bowing on Tuesday, and like 3 weeks later, finally got up for CS. And then they announced it's going to be a 4-year integration process.
4 more years of this week in CS misery porn.
Wow.
What is interesting is there are a lot of people like, oh, this is actually going to be pretty good for UBS because they've like consolidated and they've got this domestic bank, which is pretty good. And I'm like,
yeah,
guys,
except you forget that you were talking about UBS here, not Goldman.
Right. And I'm just like, how much shit are you going to find out that's not yet public that these guys are doing that's going to have a litigation like bell around your neck for a while? Like, there's no way that in the last 6 months people weren't doing stupid shit there that's going to cost you money down the line.
Well, it's like this one German banker said to me some years ago when they were talking about the possibility of Commerzbank and Deutsche Bank merging. It's like, look, you tie together 2 horses that each have a broken leg, you're not going to get a racehorse. And I mean,
Is this what you said?
no, this is what the guy who was chairman of a bank in Germany said to me. So neither bank was Commerce or Deutsche. But anyway, I think that applies here to CS and UBS.
Yeah, I think so. So we look forward to the ongoing misery that is the demise
Integration. Yeah. In the future demise of UBS.
Yes. I think importantly, maybe the final segment, Krista has something to tell us, Carson.
I don't have anything to tell you.
Well, this surprise is going really well. Thanks.
No. Mm-mm. What about number 2?
Oh, yeah, we should discuss that. Okay.
Can someone
that's key.
start with it and I can contribute?
Why don't you just contribute anyway?
I will contribute. You start with number 2.
I don't know what you're talking about, but
Number 2
it sounded like you were starting to contribute to it. So,
So we found an article in the Daily Mail.
When he says we,
it
it
was
means
me.
him.
It was me. And it was talking about cheating in the Paralympics. Now,
Oh, this is crazy. I just remember that.
right. And immediately I'm like, this is pretty cool. They're doping. No. It turns out that some Olympic federations, in an attempt to climb the medals ranking, are sending people...
some Paralympic
right.
federations, right?
Are sending people who are in no way physically or mentally impaired to compete. Now, it signaled out 2 groups. Australian swimmers, which... I just don't really know what to make of that. And then it in particular singled out the Spanish Paralympic Association, who fielded an entire team. I can't remember if it was basketball or volleyball. An entire team of people who were in no way impaired or handicapped to compete. And I think they did win. Now, this begs the question for me.
What?
Are there Olympic Federation sending teams that are not supposed to be competing in the Paralympics who are just not talking about it because they're still getting beaten, right? Like that's the question to my mind. Is that what's going on? And like this is way bigger, but there are actually some extremely capable Paralympic athletes who are just thrashing these fuckers.
Or look at China. I mean, probably what's going on there is they're probably taking their second best able-bodied athletes and breaking limbs off them and throwing them into the Paralympics.
China is so fucking doing that.
No. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, breaking news. You heard it here first because I thought of it here just now. But if I can think of it, they're probably doing it.
Yeah, no doubt. And this kind of tallied nicely with your pickleball.
Can I get the fucking surprise?
What surprise?
I don't know. Like I'm supposed to be surprised.
Krista shocked me the other week.
She what?
I know he's not going to be shocked.
You know how we were so impressed by like one of her skills? The signing.
Oh, yes.
Turns out she actually can't sign and she fucked us.
Of course.
So the most impressive thing.
Are you impressed that first of all, I
believed it.
I suspected that you couldn't do it.
I knew he was going to say that.
I believed it.
Well, because I suspected you couldn't do it.
You don't, but bullshit.
I was genuinely a little upset, and she even got me to be like last week, like, oh, that's dog. Like,
I'm like, how did you know
I'm like,
that?
oh yeah, I am pretty good at this.
So he's like, Krista.
So like, I don't know. We give a shit the whole time. Yeah. Oh,
you guys, I do that a lot.
No, you don't.
Like I speak Latin.
No one believed that.
He did.
What?
I thought maybe.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I speak English.
I don't believe that.
Barely.
You were shocked.
No,
you got me. So
I've probably gotten you more times than you even know it.
No way.
Well,
I'm actually really.
Then what's the point of getting somebody if you don't ultimately reveal to them?
Well, what happens is I always forget. That's what happens. Honestly, I totally always forget. And you're like, you told me, you like.
Krista, I told you I was 47. You believed that for weeks.
First of all, that is not true.
And at the time, you were like close to 27.
You were 28 when I first started, and you
7 years ago
said to me you had what disease?
No, you assumed that I had some disease.
Something like Benjamin Button, which I was informed was not a real disease, which I did not. Then I like.
Did you say that? Did you tell her you had a reverse Benjamin Button disease or Benjamin Button disease?
I didn't tell her anything. I just said
I do remember texting my friend
28.
And I said, I'm sitting across
from
I
was 47.
A guy, I don't know if he's there's dwarfism going on or like he has small features, but he does look kind of older. I don't know. He told me something and I'm trying not to stare.
Yeah.
And
I'm texting my friends, hi, this chick, she says she's into women, but I gotta tell you, she's looking at me a lot. I think she's turning.
Well, she was staring at your dick too. Like,
no,
because you talked about that for a long time. You talk about his dick all the time.
Did I just no? I was like, he has a long torso. There is something strange about this guy. I just couldn't put my finger on it.
Yeah. And then you had to book some travel for me, and you realized that.
That's when I realized. But that's the only reason I was staring at. Like I was trying not to stare. Because I just couldn't understand.
So you didn't explain to her that was the special like TSA issued ID that they gave you because of your Benjamin Button disease.
Asshole.
They do that for people.
I haven't renewed my TSA. It is so annoying. I forgot that it expires. Yeah. So I have Clear. So I'm like...
Yeah, Clear doesn't do...
Clear doesn't do shit. It gets you to the front of the line of like non-TSA people, so you still have to take your belt and like...
Everything off, I know.
So I'm like, I gave you my eye print and you still want me to take my belt off.
All you have to do is make an appointment online.
I know. It's
another pain.
Well, he'd have to drive there. That's the issue. So
you're fucked.
Yeah, he's still not allowed to drive.
I can do that.
Mr. Benjamin Button.
Above the age of 21 in the car with me, which defeats the...
See,
what I should do is I should get an Uber driver and be like, no, dude, I don't want you to drive the car around. I want you to come in my car so I can drive. That's what I should do. Anyways.
Well, if you were driving Uber, like you'd be legal as soon as you pick somebody up.
Are you?
Until I get... So if I can back-to-back the drop-offs, I'm cool.
So, well, basically, you figure out where you want to go. Then you need to quickly find a hitchhiker who will go there with you. And then you take them.
Yeah.
When are you getting your...
I'm going to do it at some point in the next few weeks. I've been busy.
Then are you going to get a second car? Like, I noticed you...
Like an in-person
he shares
test.
the car with his wife. You like...
Well, because honestly, I just get a scooter to work because it's quicker.
Yeah, but I share cars with my wife.
Yeah.
I know, but at least you have a couple. What I'm saying is...
What happened to the car yesterday? The guy you double parked in?
Oh, yeah.
What happened?
I mean, my car was fine. So...
Had he
What did you
sent
do?
angry messages?
What did you do?
So I pay for 2 reserved spots.
Oh my God, what a douche move. Go
There's
ahead.
2 cars.
Yeah, I've...
Oh, I thought you were saying. Sorry.
What, he just reserved 2 and then drives sideways?
Yeah, so that I can park,
No,
like
I could see
diagonally.
you doing something like that in this lot back here.
I
reserving 2 because he doesn't want another car next to his Porsche. Like, that's what I was thinking. That's where I was going. Because he's such a douche. Go ahead.
No, I have 2 reserved spots. One of them was taken up by one of my cars. And I got into the office late, so I'm driving the Land Cruiser. And so I get into the underground garage, and it's like almost 10:30 in the morning, and the underground garage is full. And there's somebody who drove a candy apple red Mustang parked in my other reserve spot, which is right next to, so I've got the 2 spots next to each other. So again, I drove around the garage and went all the way to the bottom level looking for an open space. There was none.
I know the lot.
And so, yeah, basically the only rational thing to do at that point was to parallel park my car in front of the 2 reserved spaces and blocking this dude in. And
a total douche move right here.
Really? Like when somebody parks in a
space.
reserved space and, they know it's not their reserved space.
The question
that's
is,
not a douche.
what did he keep your car?
No, he didn't keep my car yet. So, which might have been too obvious. Like maybe he's like, I'm going to come back to this space later.
Or maybe he felt bad.
So.
And did that, I mean, like.
Maybe he felt bad. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I told security, I was like, this is what I did. So I figured if the guy showed up irate, they could always ping me. And I even pinged the parking lot manager to tell him. It was actually really nice. The parking lot people, what they did was they brought some cones down to the garage and they kind of set up some cones around my car just to, I guess, make it visually clear that if you can't see the big Land Cruiser, you can see this orange cone and know that, you shouldn't drive at it.
That was nice of them.
That actually was. So, I mean, they clearly at the garage, they had no problem with what I did. So yeah, anyway, my car was not keyed. What's that? Yeah, right. I mean, because I'm a big 2-space tenant. Like, they'll do anything for me.
So if you are the guy who parked in Carson's space and you're listening to this...
I don't tip. It's not a valet.
Yeah.
It's just, I parked my own fucking car.
Yeah.
I know, but they did the cone thing. I mean, they weren't just doing it because they're nice.
Krista, it's showing.
Basic instinct.
Shut the hell
Your
up.
basic instincts are showing.
Okay. The 2 assholes that I work with. Anyway, that's it for ZFG on this lovely Wednesday. I don't even know the date. That's okay.
14th?
Is it?
Yeah.
What am I asking you?
But this is going to post on a Friday, so why don't you...
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
It's the 12th. Post on the 14th.
Oh, that's...
Anywho, thank you so much for joining us.
I just wanted to pretend I knew what was going on. Damn it.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Thanks for listening.